Have you ever wondered, why do some people earn millions, yet end up broke, while others earn an average salary, and quietly become wealthy? Is it because they're smarter? Better at math? Or just lucky? Surprisingly, the answer has very little to do with money itself. Because making money, and keeping money, are two completely different skills. In fact, some of the biggest financial mistakes are made by people who know everything about investing, but almost nothing about human behavior. Today, we're breaking down one of the most life-changing books ever written on personal finance, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This book doesn't teach you how to pick stocks. It teaches you how to think. And sometimes, changing the way you think is worth far more than earning an extra paycheck. Stay until the very end, because lesson number 7 completely changed the way millions of people think about wealth, and once you understand it, you'll probably never look at money the same way again. And if you enjoy videos that turn the world's best books into practical life lessons, take 1 second to subscribe. Because every week, we simplify powerful books into ideas you can actually use to build a better life. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. No one is crazy about money. Imagine 2 people. One invests every extra dollar they earn. The other keeps all of their money safely in a savings account. Who's making the smarter decision? Most people immediately pick one side. But here's the interesting part. Both people might actually be right. Confused? Let me explain. Imagine someone who grew up during a financial crisis. They watched their parents lose everything. Their home. Their savings. Their business. For them, taking financial risks feels terrifying. Now imagine another person. They grew up watching their parents build a successful business. Every investment worked. Every opportunity paid off. To them, risk feels normal. Now ask yourself, if both of these people invest differently, does that mean one of them is stupid? Not at all. They're simply reacting to different life experiences. Morgan Housel says something incredibly powerful. No one is crazy. People make financial decisions based on the experiences they've lived through. Not the experiences you've lived through. That's why arguing about money is often pointless. Because everyone is using a different map. Think about your own life. Maybe your parents always told you, save every penny. Or maybe they believed, money is meant to be enjoyed. Without realizing it, those beliefs probably shaped how you spend money today. This explains why 2 intelligent people can completely disagree about investing, real estate, business, or even debt. Neither is necessarily irrational. They're simply responding to different memories. The problem begins when we assume, my way is the only correct way. Instead, start asking, what experiences caused this person to think this way? That one question can completely change how you understand money and people. Because before you judge someone's financial decisions, remember, their story may be completely different from yours. And here's the surprising part. Even if you understand money perfectly, your future still isn't completely under your control. Because one invisible force affects every financial success story. And almost nobody likes talking about it. Let's discover that in lesson number 2. Lesson 2. Luck and risk are always in the room. Imagine 2 entrepreneurs. Both start a business. Both work incredibly hard. Both sacrifice weekends. Both sleep only a few hours each night. 5 years later, one company is worth millions. The other quietly closes. Why? Was one person lazy? Not necessarily. Sometimes, success is influenced by something we rarely admit. Luck. Now before you misunderstand. This doesn't mean hard work isn't important. It absolutely is. But hard work alone doesn't guarantee success. Think about Bill Gates. He worked incredibly hard. But he also attended one of the very few schools in the world that had access to a computer during the 1960s. That opportunity changed everything. Hard work mattered. But timing mattered too. Now imagine someone equally talented, born in another place, without that opportunity. Their story might have looked completely different. The same is true for investing. Sometimes someone buys a stock, and it doubles in value. People call them a genius. Another person buys a different company, and it fails. People call them foolish. But reality is often more complicated. Luck and risk are always sitting quietly at the table. Morgan Housel reminds us not to become overconfident because of success, or completely hopeless because of failure. Because neither tells the whole story. Think about professional athletes. Millions dream of becoming one. Thousands train every day. Only a tiny percentage ever make it. Were all the others untalented? Of course not. Sometimes, being born at the right time, meeting the right coach, avoiding injuries, or getting one unexpected opportunity, changes everything. Money works the same way. So what should we do? Should we simply hope for luck? No. The smartest people prepare for both luck and bad luck. They save money before they need it. They keep learning new skills. They avoid unnecessary debt. They build emergency funds. Because when opportunity finally appears, prepared people are ready to take advantage of it. And when life becomes difficult, they're ready for that too. That's real financial wisdom. Not predicting the future, but preparing for whatever future arrives. Because luck may open the door, but preparation decides whether you're ready to walk through it. Now here's something even more surprising. Many people think becoming rich depends on earning a huge salary. But according to this book, that's one of the biggest financial myths in the world. Because earning money and keeping money are completely different games. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in lesson number 3. Lesson 3. Getting rich is one thing. Staying rich is another. Let me ask you a simple question. If someone wins $1 million today, does that guarantee they'll stay rich forever? Most people would probably say yes. But history tells a very different story. Every year, there are lottery winners who become millionaires overnight. And just a few years later, many of them are back where they started. Some even end up in debt. How does someone lose millions of dollars? The answer is simple. Because getting money and keeping money require completely different skills. Imagine two people. The first person suddenly earns a huge amount of money. Maybe they sell a business. Maybe they receive an inheritance. Maybe they go viral online and become famous. Money starts pouring in. At first, everything feels exciting. They buy a luxury car. Then a bigger house. Designer clothes. Expensive vacations. Everyone around them starts treating them differently. And slowly, their lifestyle becomes more expensive than their income. Now imagine another person. They also become wealthy. But instead of trying to impress everyone, they continue living below their means. They save. They invest. They prepare for unexpected problems. From the outside, their life doesn't look much different. But 10 years later, their wealth has quietly multiplied. This is one of the biggest lessons from the psychology of money. Making money often requires taking risks, being optimistic, and believing big things are possible. But keeping money requires something completely different. Humility, discipline, and patience. Morgan Housel explains that surviving is more important than becoming rich quickly. Because if you lose everything, you have to start over. Think about investing. Many people want huge returns. So they take enormous risks. Sometimes it works. And they feel like financial geniuses. Then one bad decision wipes out years of progress. The smartest investors don't ask, "How much can I make?" They ask, "How much can I afford to lose?" That's a completely different mindset. Real wealth isn't built by hitting home runs every year, it's built by avoiding mistakes that knock you out of the game. Imagine climbing a mountain. Getting halfway up is exciting. But reaching the top means nothing if you fall before you get back down. Success isn't just about reaching wealth. It's about staying there. That's why the richest people often look surprisingly boring. They don't chase every new opportunity. They don't gamble everything on one investment. They don't feel the need to prove themselves. Because they understand something most people don't. Protecting what you've already built is often more important than chasing more. Here's something worth remembering. You don't have to make brilliant financial decisions every day. You simply need to avoid catastrophic ones. Because in the long run, consistency beats excitement. But here's where almost everyone gets trapped. They finally become successful, and suddenly, they start comparing themselves to people who have even more. And that comparison quietly destroys everything they've built. Let's talk about that next. Before we continue, if you've learned even one idea that's changed the way you think about money, take 1 second to subscribe. Every week, we break down the world's best books into practical lessons you can actually use. And if you haven't watched our 7 lessons from Rich Dad Poor Dad yet, click the card on your screen after this lesson. It perfectly complements today's video and explains why building assets is the foundation of financial freedom. Now, let's continue. Lesson 4. Wealth is what you don't see. Imagine walking through a parking lot. You see a brand new Lamborghini. A luxury SUV. A Rolex watch. Designer clothes. Immediately, your brain says, wow, that person must be rich. But are they? Maybe. Or maybe not. Here's the truth. Expensive things are easy to notice. Real wealth usually isn't. Think about this. When someone buys a luxury car, what do you actually see? You see the car. What you don't see is the money they no longer have. The investments they didn't make. The savings they spent. The financial freedom they gave up. Morgan Housel says something incredibly powerful. Wealth is hidden. It's the money you didn't spend. It's the investments quietly growing in the background. It's the emergency fund nobody knows exists. It's the retirement account no one can see. Real wealth is invisible. Imagine 2 neighbors. The first owns 3 luxury cars. A massive house. The newest phone every year. Everyone admires them. The second neighbor drives a 10-year-old car. Lives in a modest home. Rarely buys expensive things. Most people assume they're less successful. But here's the twist. The second neighbor has no debt. A large investment portfolio. Years of savings. And enough financial freedom to retire early. Who is actually wealthier? The answer isn't obvious. Because society teaches us to admire spending, not saving. Think about social media. People post pictures of expensive vacations. Luxury hotels. Designer shopping bags. Nobody posts screenshots of their retirement account. Nobody celebrates adding another investment to their portfolio. Real wealth grows quietly. That's why so many people spend years trying to look rich, instead of becoming rich. Remember this sentence. Looking wealthy and being wealthy are completely different things. Looking wealthy costs money. Being wealthy means keeping it. The next time you see someone living a luxurious lifestyle, don't automatically assume they're financially successful. And if you're building your own future, don't compare your invisible progress to someone else's visible spending. Because the strongest financial foundation is usually the one nobody notices. But here's the most surprising lesson in the entire book. What if I told you, money isn't really about buying expensive things at all? It's about buying something far more valuable. Something every single person wants, but very few people ever achieve. And that's exactly what we'll discover in lesson number 5. Lesson 5. The highest form of wealth is freedom. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, without an alarm. Not because you're lazy, but because you finally have the freedom to choose how your day begins. Imagine spending breakfast with your family instead of rushing to answer emails. Imagine taking a month off to travel, learn a new skill, or simply rest, without worrying about paying next month's bills. Now let me ask you something. Which sounds more valuable, owning $1 million sports car, or owning your own time? Most people spend their lives chasing money to buy expensive things. But according to the psychology of money, the greatest thing money can buy isn't luxury. It's control over your life. Think about it. Why do people want more money? Is it really because they want a bigger house? Or is it because they believe that bigger house represents success, security, and freedom? Deep down, almost everyone is chasing the same thing. The ability to make their own choices. Morgan Housel explains that having control over your time is one of the strongest predictors of happiness. Not having the biggest salary. Not having the newest car. Not having the most followers on social media. But having the freedom to decide how you spend your day. Imagine two people. The first earns an incredible salary. But they work 80 hours every week. They cancel family dinners. Miss birthdays. Never take vacations. They're constantly stressed. Now imagine another person. They earn less. But they've saved consistently. They've invested wisely. They have enough financial security to work on projects they actually enjoy. Who do you think feels richer? The answer isn't found in their paycheck. It's found in their calendar. Because time is the one thing money can never replace. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited." And that's true for every one of us. You can always earn more money. But you can never earn another yesterday. That's why financial freedom isn't about quitting work. It's about having options. The option to leave a toxic job. The option to spend time with your children. The option to start your own business. The option to say no, without fear. Many people spend their entire lives buying things that only impress strangers. But those same purchases quietly steal the one thing that actually matters, their freedom. Every unnecessary debt, every expensive purchase made to impress others, every lifestyle upgrade, can become another chain. That's why truly wealthy people don't just ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Will this purchase give me more freedom, or less?" That one question can completely change your financial future. Because the purpose of money isn't to own more things. It's to own more choices. But here's something even more surprising. Even if you understand everything we've discussed so far, you can still make terrible financial decisions. Why? Because the biggest enemy of wealth isn't a lack of knowledge. It's your own ego. And that's exactly what lesson number 6 is all about. Lesson 6. Never let your ego cost you your wealth. Have you ever bought something? Not because you truly needed it. But because you wanted other people to notice? Maybe a more expensive phone. A luxury watch. Designer clothes. Or a car that stretched your budget. If we're honest, almost everyone has done this at least once. Why? Because humans naturally want approval. We want people to think we're successful. We want admiration. Respect. Recognition. But here's the irony. Most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think. Imagine someone driving a brand new luxury car. For a few seconds, you might think, "Wow, that's an amazing car." But what happens 5 minutes later? You go back to thinking about your own life. Your own problems. Your own dreams. That's exactly how everyone else thinks too. They admire the object, not the owner. Morgan Housel explains that people often spend money trying to earn respect. But respect doesn't come from expensive possessions. It comes from character, knowledge, kindness, discipline, and integrity. Think about some of the wealthiest people in the world. Many of them wear simple clothes, drive ordinary cars, live surprisingly modest lives. Why? Because they no longer need to prove anything. Their confidence comes from within, not from what other people think. Now imagine another person. Every time they earn more, they immediately upgrade their lifestyle. Bigger house. Newer car. More expensive vacations. Soon, their income increases, but so do their expenses. They're trapped. From the outside, they look rich. Inside, they're constantly worried. One missed paycheck, one unexpected emergency, and everything starts falling apart. That's not wealth. That's pressure disguised as success. Real confidence doesn't come from showing people what you own. It comes from knowing that you could survive if life suddenly became difficult. Ask yourself this question. Are you buying things to improve your life, or to improve other people's opinion of you? Because those are two very different goals. And only one of them leads to lasting happiness. Remember, the wealthiest room in the world is often the one that looks ordinary. Because real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. It grows quietly. Patiently. Silently. And that brings us to the most powerful lesson of this entire book. The lesson that connects everything we've talked about today. It's simple, but if you truly understand it, your financial future may never be the same. Let's discover that in the final lesson. Lesson 7. The most powerful financial skill is patience. Imagine this. Two people start investing on the exact same day. They invest the exact same amount of money. The first person checks their investment every single morning. If it goes down, they panic. If it goes up, they get excited. Every few weeks, they buy something new. Then they sell it. Then they buy another investment. Then another. They're always chasing the next big opportunity. Now imagine the second person. They invest consistently. Month after month. Year after year. Sometimes the market goes down. Sometimes it crashes. Sometimes the news says, this is the end. But they keep investing. They stay calm. They trust the process. Now fast forward 20 years. Who do you think has more money? Surprisingly, it's usually the second person. Not because they're smarter. Not because they found a secret investment. But because they understood one thing: time is the greatest investor in the world. Morgan Housel says that one of the biggest advantages in finance isn't intelligence. It's patience. And that's difficult in today's world. Everything around us teaches the opposite. We want fast food. Fast internet. Fast delivery. Fast success. Even social media makes us believe that everyone becomes rich overnight. But that's an illusion. What you don't see are the 10 years of hard work before the overnight success. Think about planting a bamboo tree. For years, nothing seems to happen. You water it. You protect it. You wait. It almost looks like your effort is being wasted. Then suddenly, it shoots upward at an incredible speed. Did it grow overnight? No. It was growing underground the entire time. Money works the same way. For years, your investments may seem small. Your savings may not look impressive. Your business might grow slowly. Your skills might not bring immediate rewards. But underneath, something powerful is happening. Compounding. Every small decision. Every dollar saved. Every book you read. Every skill you learn. Every mistake you avoid. They're quietly building your future. That's why wealthy people rarely chase shortcuts. Because shortcuts usually cut short your future. Instead, they focus on consistency. They know that tiny improvements repeated over many years can produce extraordinary results. Imagine improving your financial habits by just 1% every day. At first, the change is invisible. But over time, those tiny improvements completely transform your life. That's the magic of patience. And here's something most people never realize. Your biggest financial asset isn't your salary. It isn't your business. It isn't your investment portfolio. It's your behavior. Because behavior determines every financial decision you'll ever make. You don't need to predict the stock market. You don't need to become a financial genius. You don't need perfect timing. You simply need to make good decisions, again, and again, and again, because wealth isn't built by one brilliant decision. It's built by thousands of ordinary decisions, made consistently. And that's exactly why this book has changed millions of lives. Not because it teaches complicated financial formulas, but because it teaches something much more important. This video covers only a small part of the wisdom inside the book. Morgan Housel shares dozens of incredible real-life stories that can completely transform the way you think about wealth, investing, success, and happiness. I placed my affiliate link in the description below. If you decide to buy the book using that link, you'll continue learning while also supporting this channel at no extra cost to you. And if you're serious about improving your financial life, it's one of the best investments you can make. And before you leave, if you haven't watched our video on 7 lessons from Rich Dad Poor Dad, click the card on your screen right now. It explains how assets, cash flow, and financial education work together with everything you've learned today. These two books perfectly complement each other, and watching both could completely change the way you think about money. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Every week, we break down the world's most powerful books into simple lessons you can actually apply in your daily life. No complicated jargon. No boring lectures. Just practical ideas that help you earn more, think better, and build a life with greater freedom. So subscribe now, and start your journey toward becoming a little wiser every single week. Now I want to hear from you. Out of these 7 lessons, which one hit you the hardest? Was it, Lesson 1, no one is crazy about money? Lesson 4, wealth is what you don't see? Or, Lesson 7, patience is the greatest financial skill? Or maybe there's another money lesson you've learned through your own life experience. Share it in the comments. I read as many comments as I can, and your story might inspire someone else who's watching this video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay curious. Keep learning. Keep growing. And I'll see you in the next video.